Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar on trading on Microsoft Teams. Thanks for joining us. I'll make it real quick because I think that most people on this training are clients. So we're so happy to have you. And just for the few of you that may not yet be aware of who we are and what this webinar is about. So aside from being a provider for IT solutions, we very much believe in teaching our clients and the general public how to use the technology and make themselves more efficient. So in keeping in line with our mission, we're hosting a series of webinars, this being the first one, and more to come in August and onward on different topics. And this one's on the Microsoft Teams platform. So whether you're new to it or you're already familiar with how to use it, we're really excited. You'll see how great Norman is at the training piece, and we hope that you'll learn something new or get a refresher course on how to use it. So we're going to dive really deep in, and just stick around. It's a lot of information, but we can always answer any questions. And if you're a repeat, hi Amanda, thanks for coming back. So we're excited to have you all, and just chat us with any questions or anything now or after. I will be happy to follow up with the recording or answer any questions as well after the webinar is over. So without further ado.
Thanks. All right, so Microsoft Teams. Why does this thing exist? What's wrong with the world that this thing is fixing? So let's get into that. So it's a communications and collaboration platform. I'm gonna show you both of those things as far as communication collaboration. But until now, we've had communication platforms already. We've got email, right? And we've got phones. So why do I need another written sort of communication thing? And that's because email doesn't address certain things. So I'm doing a project, we're doing a project here at RCS, and we start writing each other emails about it. It quickly gets to the point where I don't know what email thread the information I'm looking for is in. It's in 14 different threads. I gotta look through my email, I gotta find the different threads and look through those emails. So I can't, it's not as easy to find something that I'm looking for that's pertinent to right now. That's the next thing. The next thing is you're going to see in this platform that you don't see in email is this is a very right now in the moment communication. It's chat, so there's things happening right now that you're going to be able to get your answers to, ask questions, and get that out. And then what you're also going to see is, and this thing kills me in email, you take a file, you want to email it to someone in the company or outside the company. You email that file to them, and now you've got two versions of that file. Why? Because you have one from wherever you took it and one in the email. That person takes that file, they do whatever they do to it, they send it back to you. You now have three versions of that file. You've got one where you started, you've got one in the email you sent out to them, and you've got one that came back to you. So it quickly gets out of hand how many different versions of that file you have. And it's lost in the email somewhere. So you're going to see that Teams really solves a lot of those problems. Are there any questions about that yet? I don't think I really said anything yet, but what the hell, let's see if there are any questions.
Again, you can type those into the little chat box there.
Okay, great. So what are you going to see in Teams? So in Teams, you're going to see that all the conversations are organized in one place. The files are with their conversations. There's a different file spot to find all the files that are on all your teams. And there's just the beginning. There's so much functionality in Teams. So I'm just going to jump right in and start sharing my screen. So here we go with screen sharing. There we go. We turn off my video so you can see, oops. So you can see the screen big. Okay, good. Okay, so here we are in my Teams. Okay, so what you're going to see right off is, I'm just going to take you through this one by one. Let's get that out of the way. I'm just going to take you through this one by one, with the areas one by one. So the first thing I said to you was chat. Okay, so this is the thing you've seen the whole time. We had AOL Instant Messenger, tons of people were using it, and various chat platforms have existed throughout. Microsoft had Link, and they've existed. This idea of one-to-one chat where I need to say something to Esther. Great. I chat her. She answers back. So that's existed for a while. And you can see that chat is more your one-to-one. Here's my chat with Esther. Here's Vinod. So I'm having one-to-one chats with a whole bunch of people in the company. And what you're also seeing is that, like other chat platforms like iMessage, you can react to things in react to messages that, you know, instead of just like you can on iMessage or other chat platforms. You can react to things. And in a chat, you can send files to each other. So now I said this idea of where's the file. So Esther and I have been talking about whatever. So there is this files spot right here in our chat. So great, if I know that I'm going over something with Esther and we've sent the file to each other, great, here is that file. It's sitting right here in this chat. I don't have to go and scroll up the chat and look for it. No, I don't have to do any of that. That file is sitting there right in that chat. And I said, okay, so I said the idea that it's one-to-one, but there's actually more than that. There's I can have a few people in a chat. So here's a chat with Jeffrey, Ralph, and myself. Here's with Vinod, Jeffrey, and myself. So you can have more than one person in a chat. I'm going to get to the teams, and you're going to see when you're going to want to use a team instead of a multiple person chat. We'll get to that.
Norman, I think we have one question.
Yay.
I just don't see it in the chat box, but it looks like Jeffrey had a question. Great question. So you are sending a link to the file, not a copy of the file, is the question.
Yeah, so when I drop a file on here, okay, so this is like a sort of a technical background thing. Microsoft Teams leverages SharePoint for its storage. What does that mean? It means Microsoft's had this thing called SharePoint forever. I mean, the product's like, I don't know, 20 years old. It's basically a website for companies, like an intraweb, that you can store all kinds of stuff, pictures, contacts, calendar, files, all that. So everything you're seeing here is actually stored on SharePoint. Why do I tell you that? Because when I put a file into here, I'm dropping this file in here, and that file doesn't really live in Teams. It's actually sitting on SharePoint. And so whenever anybody edits that file, you're all editing that same file that's on SharePoint. So, and I'm going to show that to you, that file is a live file. I'm going to get to that in a bit. So the question becomes, great, now I understand that I've got a file that I dropped in there. What if I dropped a link to a file in there? If I drop a link to a file in there, then I'm clicking on that link and editing that file in whatever it is. So for example, Dropbox. Yes, I can leverage, I can use Dropbox files in here. I can actually pull a Dropbox file directly into here, and then I'm editing it a live file on Dropbox. The file doesn't live in here, it lives on Dropbox. So it's that same one live file. It's not like I sent it, it got changed, and I sent it again, and now I got 3 different files. That's not what's happening here. That's a live file on Dropbox. And then, yeah, I can pull in all kinds of different file storage places. I've got the Microsoft stuff that I'd already mentioned to you, Dropbox, Box, and I'll get to that in a bit. And I'm going to show you that not only is there a ton of functionality in Teams itself, but it's extendable. I can bring in a ton of other functionality. Does that answer your question?
I think that was Jeffrey's.
Okay, so the question is, so if you share a file, it has to be moved to SharePoint first. No, that thing about SharePoint that I told you, I just told it to you so that you would understand a little technical what that Teams is kind of a face sitting on top of something else. You never ever need to look at SharePoint. We rarely do. I just happen to know that that's what it's leveraging for its storage, but you never need to look at SharePoint. But the important thing, one of the reasons I mentioned that thing about SharePoint is that where is all this kept? We often get this question. I'm putting all this stuff in Teams. Where is it all going? It's actually going to your SharePoint, and Microsoft's backing all of that up. So it's not like it's going nowhere and it's not being backed up. It's going to SharePoint and it's all being backed up. And you never need to go to SharePoint to look for anything. I never go to SharePoint to look for the team stuff. I work my team stuff in Microsoft Teams. So I hope that answered the question of,
Thanks, Norma.
does it have to be moved to SharePoint first? It does not. You just drop it straight into Teams. I never look at SharePoint.
Perfect.
Okay, so moving right along. So that's my chat. And all right, so that's chat. That's the thing we all understand. We've seen it for years. Let's move on to Teams, which is where the power starts to really happen. Okay, so Teams, great. What is a team? A team is, see what's on here. Okay, good. A team is a bunch of people that are going to be working together. So when you first start Teams, first thing that gets created, it gets created before you even, it's a default thing, is this all company team gets created. And that is everyone in the company is in that team, and it's for everyone to discuss whatever is going on, full company. But I said a team is a group of people working together. So for example, we have our business planning team. Business planning team is not the whole company. It's just the people that do business planning in our company. We have our service team. Service team, it's just the people that are on the service team, and the people that do like bookkeeping, they're not in that team because there's no reason for them to be in that team. Okay, so that's what I got as far as a team goes. And then under a team, I have channels. So here is my RCS Professional Services team. Here are the various channels underneath. The channels are where all of that conversation is really happening. So for example, here is the RCS family channel. It's everyone in RCS. This is where we post all kinds of stuff. Here's Ralph asking me if one of our servers was updated last night. No, it turned out it wasn't updated. But this channel is, everyone's in this channel, and all of the conversation about whatever it is happening in this channel. So for example, here's our business planning channel team. And in that team, we've got a channel called Security Bundle, because we are coming up with a security bundle that will have basically all the security you need as far as your company goes, as far as logons and antivirus, backup, and the whole thing. So we had a business planning team. We started on a project of creating a security bundle. So we created a security bundle channel, and in that security bundle channel is where we talk about everything for that topic. So now let's go back to what I said about Outlook. I said email. Problem with email is I start a project, and now I instantly have many different threads, and I have no idea where to find something. Whereas here, it's all sitting in my channel. Everything is sitting in there, and I can find whatever I want because it's all in one conversation. Before I keep going, any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
I am going to unmute you guys for a second. Does anybody have any questions? And if you do, you can either type it in the questions box or unmute yourself and say the question. No? Nobody? Okay, groovy. Then I'm going to keep going. And I am going to show more of the features of Teams by creating a team and a channel. So let's get right to this. How do I create a channel, a team? Before I do, the first thing you're going to see is that every team starts off with a general channel. The general channel is just like it sounds. It's like I made a team, and that's for the general talk in that team. So let's create a new team. I click on my join or create a team. I have to click on it. I click on create team. And first thing I'm shown is this: do I want to build a team from scratch, or do I want to use an existing Office 365 group or team? Yeah, this is Microsoft. In Microsoft land, everything leverages everything else, which is awesome about Microsoft's ecosystem. So yes, this is building on Office 365. If I already had a group, a distribution group that I was using for something, I can make a team out of that pretty quickly. But for this, I'm just going to build a team from scratch. So
Norman, we've got a great question. Can you create a team outside of the company?
So yeah, oh, I didn't show something back there. Thanks for reminding me. Can I create a team outside of a company? I can create a private team, and then in a private, you're going to see this in a private channel, I can add a person outside the company to that channel. So you can have channels that have people outside of your company in the channel. Furthermore, that back on chat, I can have chat with someone outside of the company. So Jesse, who some of you might know, he worked with us for a long time. He went to one of our clients, and in our chats, Jesse at the client, we chat on Teams together. That's two different team systems, two different companies. We chat across, we chat across Teams, and that's us. That's me chatting with someone outside the company. So the answer is yes, you can have someone in a channel that's not in the company. Yes, you can chat with someone that's not in the company. Does that answer that question?
Like it. Thank you.
All right. So back to creating a channel, a team. I've got three types of teams. I've got the organization-wide one. That's just like this RCS Professional one. Everybody's automatically in it. I've got a public one. A public one is, it's public. People can be, anyone who wants to be in the team can be in the team. They may not be in the team now, but all they have to do is look for the team and add themselves to it, and then they are in the team. A private one is just like it sounds. Only the people that the person who's creating the team or the administrator of that team adds to the channel are in that team are in that team. And furthermore, when you create a private channel, a private team, it doesn't even show up over here for them. So they just have to know about that team and ask permission to join it. So let's create a public one. Wait, sorry. Did everyone understand what I said about that? I may have gone a bit quickly on private. Private's, it's just the people you want to be in there, and everyone else doesn't see it, and they can ask to join, and you can add them later. So, public, go. Ever so imaginative test team we're making? No, test, public team. You type the name, you put a description, create, great, awesome, kudos to me for creating a channel. And now, like I said, this is a public team, but it's not an organization-wide team. So I need to add people to this team to begin with. So let's add Esther. Let's add Jeff. I think he's listening somewhere. No, it's probably out there. So let's add him to this. And what you're seeing is I just start typing their names, and Teams is finding them in our Office 365 directory.
Not to mention, I'm getting an alert that you've added me to a team. So super excited.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So they're getting alerts, and they'll get an email about it also. I can make a person a member or an owner. Owners have more permissions than a member does. So let's create that. And the first thing you're going to see is that it created a general channel for me. As I said, every team, when it gets created, gets that general channel. Here's Vinod talking to me. Okay, and this is great that he said something, because it's going to show a bit something that I wanted to talk about. So I've now created, awesome, I've now created a channel, a team, and it created the general channel. And what happened here is important. Vinod said hi, right? I want to show you the difference here. Okay, so now I said that everything that's going on in a certain project channel will be in that channel and easy to find. But let's say I have tons of things rolling by. There's tons of people talking in that channel. How do I know? How do I answer something that happened a while back? And the answer is, you see that she did it here. She actually replied to this message. Notice how it's like it's in that same area as that message, and this one's separate. So you can reply directly to a message so that it makes sense when you read through it. Okay, so I created a team, and it created a channel. I'm going to keep going, but before I do that, who's got more questions? You guys are now unmuted if you want to say something. Okay. You guys are now muted again. All right, so let's create a channel. Okay, so now I've created a team, and now I'm going to create a channel. Yeah, let's just get to this. So I'm going to click on these little dots over here, and I'm going to click Add Channel. Channel name, we're going to call this Standard Channel. You'll see why in a second. I've got different types of channels. I have a standard channel, which is, like it says, everyone that's in that team can speak in that channel. And then I've got a private channel. Private channel is just like a private team in that only certain people are in that private channel. The people who aren't in that channel do not see it over here, okay? So let's create a standard one. And you're gonna see, after it creates this channel, notice it didn't ask me who to put in that channel, because this is a standard channel. Everyone who's in the team is in that channel. Now let's create another one for kicks here, because I want you to see the two different types of channels. This is a private channel. Okay, so a private channel, as I said, only certain people are in it. So the first thing it's going to do is ask me, who's in this channel? Great. This channel is going to be me, Esther, and Vinod. Yeah, we're leaving Jeff out this time. Sorry, Jeff. Wonderful. So now you've seen the two types of channels I can make in there. I've got standard and I've got private. So let's go ahead and write something in here. There's my my chat getting started. And there's something I want you to see here. So I mentioned the idea that you can reply directly on a message. You can reply, you can react, great. But I can also, and you see this in things like WhatsApp, I can address someone specifically. So I want to say something directly with Vinod. I don't know if he's out there, I don't know if he's listening, but he will get a notification on his Teams. Let's see if he is actually listening. Okay, so the thing I wanted you to see here is that I'm addressing that directly to Vinod. So a couple of things happen here. One, it's easy to understand if anyone else is reading it, that thing is going to Vinod. And two, that he gets a notification for it. And I don't know if he's actually, oh, here he is. Yes, okay, awesome. And he sent that directly back to me. How did I do that? Use the add button and start typing whoever it is. Naturally, it's only showing me these three people because only these three people are in this channel. Does anybody have any questions about that? Hang on, hang on. Okay. Boom.
We got one. So
yeah, I have a question. When, hello?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
When you did add Vinod, did it start another conversation? Because I don't see the conversation that you had going before that. Or does
Yeah,
that
sorry.
conversation continue in the same thread?
I just scrolled down.
Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, okay.
This like, hey, let's get started with the conversation thing. It usually starts the conversation down here. This is kind of it surprised me by putting it up here. But yeah, usually it starts everything down here and everything just keeps going from there. So for example, here, right, so you can see there's a whole conversation going in here with all kinds of files and stuff. But the latest stuff is always at the bottom. And in fact, now that I've come back into this, it got rid of that because, well, the conversation's already started.
Thanks, Norman. And we got one more related. So do the others see it too? I guess see that conversation.
So Judy, I don't quite understand the question you're asking. Maybe I answered it with.
When you said, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
When you said you were sending it specifically to Vinod, that are you seeing this?
Oh,
does everyone
yes.
in that channel see that you sent it to Vinod, or is it just Vinod?
No, everybody sees it. Everybody sees everything put in the channel. Everybody who's in a channel sees everything put in a channel.
Got it.
Probably where chat will come in, which we'll get to.
And then here's our private channel. Because that's how I start every conversation. But you'll see in here, I made this private channel and I only put Vinod and Esther. Notice when I hit the @ only those two come up. Jeff doesn't even come up. He's not in this channel. He can't see it on his teams. He does not see this node here. Yeah, perfect. See, only Vinod and I can see this. A quick way to see if it's a private channel is this little lock. So here's a private, here's a private. Hang on a second. Okay, so let's get moving back into this standard channel. Here we are back in the standard channel. And I mentioned to you the idea of files in a channel. So I could either take a file and drop it into this channel, but what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start a file from here. So you're gonna see that the file is gonna live here. Let's wait for a second for this to load up. Here's how, sorry, I jumped. How do I post a file? I can just paste the file right into here, paste the what's it called. I can hit my little attach icon, or I can go to my files tab. I can upload a file, but I'm gonna start a new file. If I click this new, you can see I've got a bunch of different choices. So let's make a new Word document. Okay, so what's happening? I started a Word file and Word is opening up in Teams. I haven't left Teams. This is Word opening up in Teams. So here, okay, great. What's so awesome? What's so great about that? I've got a file in here. Other people can see the file, but this file is live. What do I mean by that? Is that more than one person can be in this file at the same time. In fact, I'm hoping Esther's going to hop into this file. It's in that new team. Oh, here we go. Okay, so you see up here, Esther's now in this file, and she is editing at the same time. We are editing. Yes. Here's Vinod. He's now joined. So now you see we got Vinod and Esther all in this file together. So when I said that it's not only a communication platform, but it's a collaboration platform, you're starting to see the power of this. I can do this in Excel. I can do this in PowerPoint. I can do it across all of those Microsoft apps. So now here we are in this file. Now, Microsoft really kind of thought of a lot on this one. What if we wanted to chat while we were working on this file? Yeah, this is great. You guys are cruising. Okay. what if we wanted to chat? It's got this conversation button here. I click this, and here we are. This is a conversation for this document. Awesome, okay. So this conversation, so we can actually not only collaborate on this thing, but we can talk about what we're doing at the same time. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna pull in a URL that I want someone to see. Maybe I'm gonna, you know, something about editing this file. So you see, there's a lot of collaboration power in here. Let's see. Let's unmute everybody. Let's see if anybody has any questions about that. That's a big one. So Teams version of Breakout Rooms. Sorry, this is a conversation. This is a question. Will I cover Teams version of Breakout Rooms? I wasn't going to cover it in this. And I as far as a breakout room thing, like what's that software? There's another meeting software that has this sort of breakout rooms thing. Teams doesn't, as far as I know, Teams doesn't have this sort of, I don't think it has the functionality you're looking for, where you can pull in people from 14 different companies, and well, from 14 people from 3 different companies, and put 4 people in one room and 4 people in another room, and you know, the rest.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, that's a good question.
As far as I know, Teams does not have that functionality. Any other questions about this?
I think Terry was asking, can we open a doc from Box instead of creating a new one? Good question.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, hang on a second. I am going to close this to go back to my my channels here. So you see, by the way, that file is now sitting in here. Great. I know where to find that file all the time. Awesome. Remember how we were in that file editing, and I opened up a chat? Here's that chat that was happening in that file. Now, to your question, hang on. So if I go to files, what you're going to see here is that I can add cloud storage. And one of the things I can add is Box. I can add Box, Dropbox, Google Drive. This thing is so remarkably extensible. I can add all kinds of different stuff. So can I open something from Box in here? Yep. We used to use Google Drive, and we would pull in Google Drive stuff directly into Teams. So the answer is yes, you could do that, and that's the way you do it.
I have a question about when you were having the conversation in the demo file.
Yes.
When you open up that file, does it store that conversation?
Yes. So here I am. I'm going to open up that file again. You immediately see that that conversation is here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and I said this. I may have done it quickly. This conversation button right here is how you show and hide that conversation. And I'm going to close that. Awesome. Go back to my posts. You see again, it's all in that in this channel's conversation. Okay, so I keep mentioning the idea that you can add so much functionality to Teams. So let's take a look at some of that. I'm going to click this plus here. What they call these things on top, Microsoft calls them tabs. They don't quite look like tabs, but they are tabs. So here's your post tab, here's your files tab. And if I click here, you're going to see that there is a boatload of files, well, a boatload of apps I can bring into here. Here's the Microsoft universe. All of this, these are other companies writing stuff writing software that works inside of Teams. I haven't even heard of most of these guys, but you see this list goes on and on and on. It's crazy. So I am going to show off a cute little app that Microsoft has called Planner. I'm going to add a tab to this channel. Let's click that. What Planner is, it's a little program to be able to divide say a project up into different tasks and assign those tasks to various people. They're actually rolling this this app into the Microsoft Lists app, but I just want to show you this so you see the idea of adding functionality to a channel. So I'm going to call this So I'm making a new plan. Tab name is a new tab, which you'll see it posted on there. And here we go. There we go. There's my new tab. And this is project planner. This is the planner functionality working inside of a Teams tab. If I were to load this, Planner is a web app. It's a Microsoft web app. If I were to open it in a browser, it would look just like this. It's just this functionality is pulled into Teams, so you have it all in one place. And then there's just that's all this well, I'm showing you very very quick and dirty, but that's what this app does. I've made a task. I assign it to Esther. I'm not going to set a due date right now. Why? Because if I set a due date, she's going to constantly get email about it to make sure it's done. But yeah, it's just.
I owe you one.
Yeah. So this is, I pulled a separate piece of software into Teams, and here I am using it in this channel. So I want you guys to see that. So anybody have any questions about that? You guys are unmuted. I'm going through the questions right now, so hang on a second. Okay. All right, somehow I don't have any questions about that, which is amazing. So I'm going to move on.
Think of anything, just pop it in the chat box. I got it.
Okay, so moving right along. All right, so what have I seen? I've seen a team, I've seen channels, I've seen private channels, I've seen channels that everybody can be involved in. I've seen adding files to channels, working on a file together, adding a tab to a channel. So now all of this is happening, but how do I know any of this is happening? How do I know that someone's talking to me? So there are a number of ways. One is in the top right corner, which I have my thing set to do not disturb. I'm going to take it off in a bit so that you guys can see it, but messages come up in the top right corner telling me that something is happening in Teams. So I'm going to take, so here I am, I clicked on my little avatar button here. Here's my status. I'm going to set it to available. By the way, anything could happen now because I get notifications for some of these channels. So the service team could be talking on that channel, but let's see what's going to happen. So I'm going to make myself available. And Esther, can you in our chat write something to me, please?
I will be honored to. Once again.
Here we go. Okay, here we are. Guys, see that? That's that right there. I can click on this thing. Oh, thanks. I can click on this thing. It'll take me to that channel, or I can reply right here. So there I am replying right here. I don't have to actually move to a different spot in Teams, which would totally disturb me. Or I can click on that, and it takes me directly to that channel. Let's heart that. So that's one area where I'm going to get notifications. I'm going to set that back to do not disturb. Do not disturb means I don't get any notifications. Hang on. Busy. Whenever I start a call, which is going to happen in a bit, if I start a call or a meeting in Teams, it automatically sets my status to busy, whereas other people see that I'm busy and, you know, whatever. Don't get back to me. I mean, don't disturb me. Be right back, appear away, various statuses with various rules to them. Do not disturb is the one where it just doesn't talk to you at all, which is great. So I'm going to set that do not disturb, and I'm going to go over the second way that we find out that someone said something to me. Let's say, oh, sorry, before I run there. So she wrote something in that chat. Great, I have this chat set for to tell me about it. Now, you can set your chat, your channels to all kinds of notifications. Here's notify when available. So if Esther happens to be not available, I can change that to notify to tell me when she's available. I can go to a channel and I can set my notifications. It can tell me various things like, hey, tell me about everything that's happening. Don't tell me anything, or whatever. Tell me sometimes and don't tell me other times. Put it in the banner, put it in the feed. I'll get to those in a second. But you can see it's very customizable, all of the notifications I can get within Teams. But what if Teams isn't open? What if I'm away from my computer and Teams is just not open? Well, if it's not open for long enough, you'll get an email about it. You get an email in your email that says, oh, hey, Esther said something to you in Teams. Great, you can click on that and open your Teams and reply to that. So if you don't have Teams open, you're not going to miss out. It will find you and tell you. And then you've also got your devices, your notifications on your mobile devices. Now, Teams, Microsoft built this thing so well. Really, they did such a great job on it in that everything you're seeing here on my screen, I'm going to show you later, all of that is in the mobile client. All of that is on the iPhone client. All of that is on the Android client. All of that is on the iPad client. So if I have, depending on how I have my team set, I can get notifications on my phone. Oh, hey, someone said this to you. I also get notifications if someone @ me, use the @ symbol to say something to me, I'll get notifications about that. So those are the various ways that notifications happen. For a chat, your notifications are on by default. For channels, they're by default off for messages in a channel unless they're replies to something you wrote in a channel or they mention you, which is the @ symbol. Anybody have any questions about that? Unmute. Unmute.
They're cruising along.
Okay, great. Wait. Okay. Okay, so great. I'm going to move on to the next thing here. I went from chat to Teams. I'm going to get the calendar in a second, but I'm going to skip over for a second because I want you to see. This is kind of like a feature that I kind of wonder if they'll have something like this in Outlook at some point. So I told you that if someone puts an email, the problem is someone may have sent me a file. I don't know what thread that file was in or what email that file was in, and I got to go and look through the various emails to find that file. So you may have looked at this and said, well, there's a file in here, right? And then there's a file in my channel. Great, how does this help me? I've got to go looking to the channels, to the chats. I don't know where this file is, except that you do know where this file is because that's what this is all about. These are all the files that are in your Teams. So everything and all your channels and all your chats, all those files, they're all actually sitting here. So here is that demo file I created a little bit ago. It's all sitting here. Here's the outline I'm actually using to give this webinar. So everything's in one spot where I can easily find it. And furthermore, it tells me where that file is from. So here, this is on that team, that channel. This is in this Microsoft Teams demo team in the general channel. So you can see it's all here. It's all easy to find. I told you that we added Google Drive to our thing using just that, add what I showed you before with the box question to add a cloud drive. Here's my Google file. Here's my Google Drive in here. So you're gonna see, you see that all the files are in one place. So much easier to find. Anybody got any questions on that? Okay, moving on. Back here into my Teams. One thing I wanted to show you here is that, okay, so how do I know that there is something waiting for me to look at? I told you that I can turn off various notifications in a channel. A notification is not on by default if I'm not mentioned or replied to. So how do I know there's something that needs to be read there? There's a couple of ways. One, it's in bold. So there's something happening in here that's waiting for us, waiting for me. Oh, see, I hadn't seen this since we were allowed in this channel. So that's why that was bold. Once I read that, it's unbolded now. And then you're going to see that I don't have any unreads in here. In fact, Esther, can you, on this standard channel, can you mention me, so at me in that? I want to show you guys something that it's slightly different. There's bold, and then there's this, which you're going to see.
Sorry, so that was in the standard?
Yes, please.
Great.
Okay, great. Bold and the little badge. The little badge means I was either replied to or I was mentioned, okay? So yeah, it's easy to see. And in fact, this is often the way that I see that there's stuff that needs to be read. There's another place for all of this, and that's in the activity feed. You see there's a one up there right now. There's something that's this thing that it's waiting for me to look at. Some people use their activity feed. I don't know, everybody uses it differently. I happen to look at this a lot. I don't look at my activity feed a bunch, but let's take a look at that right now. So the activity feed is everything, oh, that happened quickly. Everything that's going on in all of my chats, all of my channels, I can quickly read through and find out what's going on. That thing that happened quickly that you missed was this was bold. Yeah, it was bold with a I think a little badge also. Actually, it wouldn't be a badge here, but it was bold, so it was unread. And what I want you to see in the feed is that as I'm clicking on these, it's actually showing me the channel. It's not taking me over there, so I don't like get pulled out of the feed and have to keep, running back into it. But it is showing me that whole channel, so I can easily reply to stuff. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Select. Sure.
Okay.
Oh, wait, got one.
Yay.
Quick reconfirmation. What location is the actual file?
Yes, that is correct. So the question is, for whatever location you bring a file in from, like Dropbox, or Box, or whatever, that reads that Dropbox and Box, are those the actual repository for those files? Even after they've been dropped into a channel and appear in the file list? Yes, Dropbox and Box and whatever cloud storage you're leveraging. When you pull those files into Teams and it shows it in the Files tab or the Files area over here, those files are not in Teams. They're sitting in Dropbox. They're sitting in Dropbox and Box. Those are the Dropbox and Box are the actual repositories for those files. Does that answer that question? Okay, good. So my feed can get crazy. I can filter my feed. Let's look for things that only Esther said. Great, here's everything. Oh, about the mod. Great, see how it's filtering as I'm typing? Awesome, so while the feed can look crazy, it's one of these things that is quickly manageable. All right, moving on to, okay, so that was a lot of the chatting, the communication, the collaboration. You've seen a lot of that. Now we're going to move on to the sort of like other side of Teams, and that's the whole meetings and calls and video calls side of this. So here is the calendar. This calendar is the very same calendar in Outlook. It's no different. If I pulled up my Outlook and showed you the calendar, it's this exact one. They're both accessing it from the same exact spot. So it's not like there's a separate calendar. No, none of that. This is the exact same calendar. So what can I do in this calendar? Well, for one, I can join any meeting that's happening, but let me create a new meeting just so you guys can see this. In Teams, there are two types of meetings, and this may speak a bit to, I think it was Judy's comments. So there are two types of meetings. One, there's a meeting where everyone can participate. That's your normal meeting. It can be audio, it can be video, you can bring in files and all that. And then the other type of meeting is a live meeting. A live meeting is more of a one-to-many. It's like, oh, the CEO wants to do some sort of all hands on deck announcement to everybody. So it's not interactive. The CEO's video is what's shown. The other people, their videos don't, they can't jump onto that as a video call. They can write questions in a conversation in there, but it's a one-to-many thing in that only the guy who's running that live meeting, it's only his video and his talking. Most of the meetings you're going to do are the first type of meeting, which is your regular meeting where everybody participates. So let's create a meeting. I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to say, here is my meeting. I'm going to invite Vinod. And sure, we'll invite Esther. Great, it's today at 3:30. So what I don't want to jump before I actually click send on this. What's going to happen is they are going to get an invitation for this meeting. It's going to show up on their calendar, and they'll, when the meeting is about to start, there's a link in that meeting, in the thing on their calendar to join the meeting, either via voice or voice and video, however they want it, okay? But before I do that, I also want to add this to a channel. So where is my channel that I just made? Great.
I actually only found out recently that you can do this. So great.
Yeah, so I can attach this meeting to this channel. So let's send that. Great. It takes a bit for this thing to actually work on my computer. And what's going to happen is it's sending out an invitation to them, and it's also creating the whole background tech that it needs to do a video or audio call. And what they're seeing on their end, what Esther's seeing on her end, is she's actually getting a meeting invitation from the channel. So everything in this meeting, all the conversation that's going to happen in this meeting is going to live in that channel. So if after this meeting, we talked about whatever on there, it's all going to show up in the channel. And once that creates, I'm going to show you that those links are in there now. So obvious question, can I invite people from outside? Yeah, we do it all the time. Vinod makes all of his meetings from here. And yes, you can invite all kinds of people from all kinds of companies, doesn't matter. Do they have Teams? Doesn't matter. They can do it without Teams, they can do it with their Teams. They don't even need a Microsoft account. They need nothing. They just get a link. They click on that link. They're in the meeting. And yes, does Teams have security like lobby? Yes, Teams does have that sort of lobby feature where people are in the lobby until someone in the meeting lets them in. Someone like an administrator of the meeting lets them in.
Awesome.
So when it comes time, actually, are there any questions about that? Questions, unmuting. Go, who's got a question? No? All right. Let's take a look at that meeting. See that down here? These links? This is what the people on the other end see. So someone doesn't have, it's someone outside the company, they don't have Teams, that's fine. They've got this, they can call in, all of that's available, and all of that happens in here. So they don't need to have Teams. Furthermore, I don't know if you guys know this, but this exists and has existed forever in Outlook. There's a scheduling assistant where it shows me the other people's calendars and I can pick a time when it actually works for all of us. Same thing that's in Outlook, it's the same thing here. So that functionality is here. When it comes time for this meeting, I can just click join and I'm joined into the meeting. Microsoft is actually adding functionality on that join now. It's right now, when you're joining a meeting in Teams, you go to your calendar and you click on your join now. If it's the right time, it'll say join now up here. Microsoft is adding functionality so that that join now button, you'll see it in more places in Teams. Like if you're in a chat, you'll still see that join now button when it's time to join the meeting. Does anybody have any questions about that? No, okay, good. Okay, a couple of nice things about a meeting. You can record a meeting. You can, when a meeting starts, there's a little record button. You can record that meeting. You can furthermore put live captions on that meeting. This is a cool feature. It's in beta, but yeah, everything you're saying as you're saying it will show up in words as words at the bottom of your video or audio chat. I got to make a video for this so you guys see that actually happen because it's pretty cool. So yeah, you can record your meetings, and furthermore, those recordings are held on yet another Microsoft app that's awesome in their little ecosystem. Microsoft has an app called Stream, and Stream is kind of like YouTube for companies. It's great. You can record all kinds of videos on there, send videos, share videos out to people. So one of the things we use it for, which was great, we use Teams to do this. When we train another tech on how to do something, we'll often do it in a meeting in Teams, share the screen, record it, okay, so that everything we're talking and that screen sharing is all getting recorded, and then it shows up on our stream, and our techs can look back at that recording whenever they want.
Actually, just last week, one of our clients reached out to us to use it for the same purpose. So it's great for training, that feature in particular. If you're training new employees, like Norman said, yeah, it's super useful.
Okay, moving right along. Let's get to what? Oh,
I think
sorry.
we got one more question. Yeah, one more question here. It's a good one. When it showed the dial-in number, is that set by Teams or is that a conference call number we provide? So where does that phone number come from in the invite?
That number is set by Teams. So yeah, it's something I like. I have to wait for this to happen before it even put.
So it'll,
there.
yeah, it'll input automatically by Teams.
An add-on question is, can you set that to a number that you want? And I don't actually know the answer to that. I don't know if that's in one of Microsoft's licenses to be able to do that. You certainly can't do it with the regular Teams license. And when I say about licensing, I'm going to move on to my next topic because I'm going to get to calls. Great, there's a little thing here, calls. This Teams, it's not only chat, it's not only files, it's not only collaboration, but it's also this little phone system. And it's this really good and really easy to use phone system. We constantly use this to call each other. It's audio calls, it's video calls. You can see the history of your calls. There's voicemail in here. There's call routing. It's you can call people in the organization. You can call people out of the organization. There's just about all the functionality of a normal phone system is in Teams. And why did I say something about licenses before and then segue to this? Because there are separate licenses for making Teams into an actual phone system. You don't need those to start. Anybody who's got an Office 365 license that has email in it, I think every single license that has email in it has Teams in it, I think. And that basic license is everything I've shown you. Then there's the add-on license to make it so that you can use this as a phone system where you can port your numbers to it, you can call phone numbers outside, and really make this into a full phone system. And yeah, there are licenses for that. That's why I mentioned before about different licenses. So, and as far as the functionality of this, I'm about to show you guys a video, but before I do, any questions about Teams as a phone system and using it for phone calls? Oh yeah, sorry. I've got a question of, can you have multiple meetings at once? Yeah, sure, you can, yeah, definitely. I'm not sure if the question is, can multiple people in the organization, I can have a meeting, but not can have a separate meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody can have tons of meetings at the same time every,
That
yeah,
was it.
so. Yes, it's not only one person. It's not, oh, I understand the question. So yeah, so okay, so this question is the concept of using Teams as a conference bridge. Now, often companies only have one conference bridge, which means that they can only have one conference call at a time. That's not the case here. You set those meetings, and everybody can set different meetings at the same time. So it's not just one conference bridge that everyone's sharing. Everyone gets their own. You just make a meeting and you've got one. Okay, so I am going to show you guys to show a video call and an audio call, it doesn't come out good when I do it live because of like internet issues and screen sharing. So I'm going to show you a video of us doing a video call and see if you can tell what's different about me in that video.
That'll be in the follow-up survey as well.
Before the video and after the video, there's gonna be a bit of silence as I get back to it. So here we go. All right, and here we go.
All right, we're going to take a minute to answer any questions.
Welcome back, everybody. So, who could guess what was different about me? If you said I'm wearing a different shirt, yes, you are correct. So, questions? So I showed a video calls, and yes, you can do just an audio call. Furthermore, you can do an audio call where only some people shows their video and other people don't. So yeah, it's fully however you want to do it as far as video and audio. But one of the things that's nice in there, like you go and you look at, you use phone systems, and my God, it shouldn't be so hard to make a conference call. This is so much better. You just go, you type the person's name, and the person's there, and you can see who's always in the call, and you can dump people off the call if you want. Yeah, as far as like a phone system, there's just some nice, easy functionality there, and the fact that the whole thing is connected to your email and your chat all in one spot is so great.
Yeah, I almost never use my regular line since we're on Teams.
Right. Okay, so a couple of last things. There is this search up here. So I have mentioned all kinds of different ways to find stuff. You've got your chats, you've got your teams, you've got your activity feed, which shows everything that's going on. You can filter your activity feed. Well, in here, you can look for whatever. Should I look for? Take a chance and look for something admin. Great. So here we go. Everywhere and everywhere across all the chats where admin is set, it says admin. I can look for the word Tim, and I can find people that way also. I can find files that way. So somewhere in this file is the word Tim. Somewhere in this one is the word Tim. Great. So you can see that functionality is all there as far as searching goes, which is great. But that box has even more functionality. I can hit this slash button and boom, there's all kinds of more functionality. I kind of rarely use this, but it is there. Like you can set your status in here. You can call someone. All that stuff you can do within the app, you can do from this little search bar. Then there's the @ where it's not just where I can quickly start writing a message to somebody, but I can drop things in here, like I can drop a place. Like, you know, when you send someone, you share a business on like a Google, like a Google Maps thing, and you send someone that, use that same thing here. So I can share, where's the nearest Walmart? And I can share the Walmart, and people can click on that, and it opens up a maps thing where you can get directions and all of that. So you can see there's a whole bunch of different stuff that you can do here in the search. Anybody have any questions about that? And not yet. We'll monitor and see if someone comes up with something. Okay. So let's. All right. So I've shown you all of this, right? But there's so much. There's more to this. I mentioned the idea of the web client. So hang on. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm going to show you me. Everyone wants to see me. And I'm going to show you, why would you lock me out at this point in the thing? Okay, here we go. Here is my phone, okay? I said to you that everything that's in the desktop app is in everywhere else. It's in the web page. Oh, did I mention that? Yes, you can do all of this stuff by just going to a web page. So it all exists in everywhere and exists as a web app. But here's my phone. So let's find Teams on here. There's my Teams app. And along the bottom, if you can see this, there's the activity feed. There's my chats. There's my Teams. There's my calendar. There's my calls. Just like I have in my desktop app. So here are my chats. You saw that same thing in the desktop app. Here are the various teams, and just like the bold, all that All that's in here. I can use this thing as a phone. I can do video calls. I can do meetings on here. In fact, all of this does happen on here. So and I mentioned the idea of viewing calls. Yeah, I can use this thing as a phone like this. So all the functionality of the desktop app and the web app, and it's all the same functionality across all of the implementations of it. It's not like, oh, you know, you could only get some of the functionality in your what's it called, in your if you're, you know, you only get some of the functionality on your mobile device. No, you get all the functionality. Furthermore, okay, I mentioned the idea of notifications before, but I've got Teams on my phone and I've got Teams on the desktop, and I don't think I want my phone buzzing all the time every time someone says something to me on Teams on my desktop if I've got the desktop app on. And yes, I told you notifications were remarkably customizable. That's another customizable thing. My phone is set so that if my Teams app is open on my computer, it won't notify me on my phone, right? So if someone writes to me and I'm set to available on my computer, it's not going to notify me on my phone. But if I set do not disturb, I don't get notified anywhere. But yeah, that's a setting that, yeah, I can set it to only notify me if my Teams app on my computer is off. It'll notify me on my phone. So there's that. Anybody got any questions about that? In case you're wondering, that was the lawnmower going by.
I was wondering.
Yeah, it always happens in the
They
the
know.
Anybody any questions? Oh, he's about to roll around again.
I wonder if they use Teams.
Yeah. So Frank, yes, you can get a video of this webinar that we're doing.
Yeah, for anybody who wants it, just shoot me an email. My information's in the chat box. I'll be happy to shoot over the recording. And also, a lot of times we get questions around Zoom as opposed to Teams or other video conferencing solutions. So I pasted a link to a article we wrote about some of the pros and cons of using Teams and Zoom. So feel free to check it out if that's of interest.
Okay, last bit. How do you get started with Teams? So one thing I already mentioned is if you've got Office 365, most likely you've already got Teams. Microsoft wants everyone to have Teams, so they basically pushed it out to everybody across just about so many of the licenses. If you've got an email license, you probably have Teams already. And then how do you get started in Teams? Well, the first thing, go back to my screen. I told you, let's turn that guy off. I mentioned the chats. The chats are there. You can always start a new chat by just clicking your little right button up here. As far as your teams go, when you first start with Teams, you're going to have this organization-wide team with this general under there. Microsoft's suggestion on this, and from our using it and from our implementing it, I think they're right on this, is start small. Don't start by making 100 different teams and 100 different channels. No, make 2 teams. We started with this team, this channel, this team, and this team, and built from there. Yeah, so start like with 1, 2 teams, 1, 2 channels per team, get your feet wet, start using it, and then you'll start to understand the way you want to use Teams, because it's not like Teams. One of the nice things about Teams, it doesn't have to be along the dichotomy of departments in a company, right? It doesn't have to be, oh, there's a marketing team, or it doesn't have to be there's a graphics team. No, I mean, you can have those, but one of the nice things about Teams is that different parts of the company can collaborate in a team or a channel. So I would start small, couple of teams, couple of channels, see how you want to use it, and then start adding channels as you need or as you want. And there he is going right by the window. Perfect timing. One question you might be wondering, and I wouldn't stress on this because I told you start small. Can I move a channel from one team to another? The answer currently is no. You cannot move a channel from one team to another. Is Microsoft working on this? Yes, it's on the roadmap, but Microsoft has been moving so fast on Teams. They realize they've got something big here right now in during quarantine. So they've really thrown a ton of development at it. So for example, what's sort of the improvements they've done? Well, it started out on a meeting, you could only see 4 people on the screen at the same time. Well, we all know Zoom has a ton more than that. So the first thing they did was they threw all development around moving from 4 people to moving to 9 people. What's coming is 49 people on the screen at the same time. What's coming after that is Microsoft's got this really cool view where it looks like everybody's actually sitting in chairs in an auditorium. It's wild. So yeah, Microsoft's throwing a ton of development resources at this right now. Moving teams is coming. I wouldn't stress on it though. It doesn't exist yet. I wouldn't stress about it as far as how you're gonna arrange your teams. Just start small. Anybody got any questions about all of that?
I just want to put a disclaimer. Norman does not get paid by Microsoft to say that.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually a thing. Let's do that. Stop showing that. That's actually a thing. Like when this whole idea of chat came out, I was like, so how did this, right? There was Slack. Everybody's heard of Slack, right? Oh, wait, Slack, it's chat. And I couldn't understand it. Like, why do I want this chat? It's so disturbing. I'm doing my work and bam, things are popping up and all of that. And then it was like, I don't get it. It's just chat. What's so great about it? Why was a company built around this? It's not innovative. And then I started using Teams, and it's awesome. So yes, I came from not being the guy. I came from being the guy who was like, I don't see it. I don't see why I would need this. I don't see why I have this. I don't see why it exists. I don't need it. But I started using it, and it's awesome. So yeah, Microsoft doesn't pay me. I just happen to think it's really awesome piece of software.
Totally echo that. Same. I was actually kind of resistant. I was like, oh, what is this? But I think it's changed. It's definitely changed the way I work day to day, and I think as a company also. So that's what kind of made us decide to share it.
All right. Okay. Anybody got any questions? This is me wrapping it up. So has anybody got any questions before we wrap this up? Oh, sorry. Let's unmute just in case someone wants to actually say something. Judy, do you have a question? I see your hand is raised.
Maybe from before.
It was from before, sorry.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, well, thank you all for attending. I hope you got something out of this. I know I went over a ton of functionality. Don't get lost in the weeds of it. Most of the stuff is pretty straightforward. You're gonna get a video of this. You can refer back to the video. I go over so much of the functionality because I want it to be familiar to you next time you come across it. Like, oh yeah, I remember he said something like that. So yeah, it's just start small, get into it. It's an awesome piece of software, and I hope you guys all love it, and I hope it helps your businesses.
Awesome. Thanks, Norman. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Stay safe.